Right. Well, I better turn off. You haven't got your phone on you, have you?
Right.
Right, I also need to... Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I've got an app as well, which basically dictates everything to us.
What, so it dictates what I have to say?
No, it will just convert everything you say into words, and then I can pull out some...
Well, what am I going to be using? Mine are words.
No, but it's like the text. Like we're talking, but this will turn it into text, so then I can pull out some of the words to use for like the thumbnails and stuff like that. Right.
You lost me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean you can. I don't think.
No, don't, because you'll make me laugh.
Just don't have your heater on too loudly.
I know. No, look.
And then I'll go.
Yeah, that's fine. Right.
Oh, for God's sake.
He's definitely working on the mic. Let me.
What is this?
It'll be annoying if the mic wasn't working.
And yeah.
Okay. Right. So all it's going to do, I'm going to give you a little run through, is I'm going to do a very brief intro, then I've got some questions I'm going to ask. This episode's all about why. So why coaching? Because it's called the Coach's Corner. Okay. Okay. So, welcome to Coach's Corner. This is a brand new podcast, and it's all about coaching, coaches, and everything coaching, basically. The reason why we're doing this podcast is I want to try and get as much information, knowledge, background experience, and anything to do with coaching that we can share. And I want to try and target as many different coaches as possible from all different industries. Try and break it down into as many different sectors. So whether it was one-to-one coaching, whether it was sport-specific coaching, all different areas. So hopefully, if you see me in your DMs, hopefully you can make it to one of these podcasts. So, episode number 1 of Coach's Corner, and I've thought long and hard about what we're going to be doing on the first episode, but I think it's best to start off with why. Okay, so I am joined with Katie Mawer, which some of you may already know as being my sister. And she didn't realise when she was first signing up for this podcast that it was also going to be filmed. She thought it was just going to be an audio podcast. But no, we are trying to target all platforms. A bit of a background on why I've decided to use Katie for the first Coach's Corner is the whole ethos of what she does and we do as a company is... our background and everything is, and our first question we always ask is why. So why we do what we do. So Katie, welcome.
Hello.
She, as you can tell, she might be a little bit nervous, but hopefully we'll be able to break her down and try and find out a little bit about her and a bit about why she coaches. So first thing I'm going to say is introduce yourself, a little bit of your background. Obviously, me and you, being brother and sister, have had a similar upbringing, but probably different journeys, I think. So, talk to me.
I will. I have three areas in life that are extremely important to me. My first is my family, my second actually is coaching, and my third is talking. So this basically is...
Could be the longest podcast that you've
a little bit about me. I'm a little tiny bit older than you and wiser than you, of course. So I've been involved in sports since I was probably in the womb, as you were. So played a variety of different sports, and it was netball that took my liking. So when I was about 18, I was asked to coach, and that got me on the coaching pathway. So not just stuck with netball, which I've taken to quite a nice level. So I'm a level 3 netball coach, which is in netball terms, they're just creating the level 4, so I'm top of where I can be at the moment. I've done a variety. I've coached athletics, coached a bit of football, coached many sports, but always go back to netball because I think that's where my passion still lies. So 30 years later, I'm here.
Yeah, so you obviously come with quite a bit of knowledge and experience about coaching. Now, I always think, like, when people sort of ask me how I got into the industry of coaching, I go before coaching. So I think it's probably best we start with family. And, you know, like I said to you before, I had a bit of a different upbringing to you. I think you were second oldest and I am the youngest of 7. One thing that I always talk about and experience is obviously having a manic, crazy household, not just the kids that were in the house that were from my mum and my dad, but obviously foster children and stuff like that. So a part of coaching, I believe, is very much about the caring towards others, wanting to help others. What are your experiences from sort of a young age in that family lifestyle all the way through till, obviously you can explain your time working with social services and stuff like that?
So 2 girls, older sister, then I came along, and then we had the 5 boys. So I think instantly me and our sister were substitute mums most of the time, because as you said, is a very busy household, and when we started fostering, that brought it all in. We've been brought up in a caring, loving, secure environment, and I think that's given us the foundation to know that whatever we were going to do in life was going to be to, honestly, for you to educate, and because I believe education is about caring about how others develop, and I think I mean, my background is I've always wanted to teach in some way. I did work in social services for about 7-8 years, which involved in the child protection team, which is obviously, as you can imagine, has to be a very caring process, and then obviously through that, that's when our mum and dad got into fostering. How's that linked in? I think from the early age, and I take full responsibility for all of our siblings being so active, because I was the second oldest. Our older sister's wasn't as active. She is now, and I had a drive for sport, for being active, and when I was at school, I was okay at school, but I was great at sport, and that's what led me down the pathway of playing, until I got to that age where I understood, and I realised actually I cared about people's health, I cared about people being better, finding themselves. I've got 3 children who are all very sporty, and they've built their confidence through sport. And I think from playing in the playground, in reception, to growing up, going home, helping mum, support the family in a nurturing way, it's bred into us, to worry and care and have this need to help people.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about that myself, actually, when you just said that, which is because obviously when we look at our mum and our dad, obviously our dad was very active, very sporty, loved football, played at a good level of football. And then I suppose, like you said, like the eldest sibling, who Emma, she's obviously, you were sort of the first one to be that sort of active, sporty person. And to be fair, then it's probably sort of dropped down to all of us. And
well, the first two boys that came into family were twins and weren't active.
Yeah.
So it was a cycle, and then it was down to the last 3 boys. Yeah. We know our dad was just passionate about football and wanted a football player. So his drive was for that. So I think my main sport when I grew up was athletics, and Mum would load the car up with you boys. You used to come and watch me support. I used to, remember you standing behind the barriers shouting my name, and it was that straight away, just including in that environment, showed a trail of success. And I came off races and I'd win, I'd lose, and it was just about having you guys there. Showed actually it wasn't losing, it was like doing the best, and it implanted knowledge without you realising.
And I suppose there's a massive aspect there of early stages of a team as well, isn't there? Even though we're a family and we're supporting maybe one person at that time, it's still like a team.
Well, that's what a family should be. A family is a team, and it's very much a team in a different way, but you're all working for the same purposes, and you're all working, there's times that you do have to work apart to come back together, to work, for the same goal. And our goal is to be happy, and find our destination, find our route. And I think yours and mine in particular is a route of passing on our knowledge, experience, our beliefs into the next generation.
Into others,
absolutely.
Okay, so then there's definitely key coaching values that we've picked up from an early age about being in a team, loving, caring, and then started to get that sort of education within sport. And has there been anyone for you that has inspired you as a coach when you were younger that you could name and maybe talk about an experience you might have had? I suppose good or bad, really.
I get a lot out of bad experiences because I turn bad experiences, in my life, everything you make into a positive. And so those bad experiences, I've never put down as bad experience because I know that I can learn from them. Mrs. Warman, a teacher in a local school, because we've been around this area for a long time. We are talking quite a few years ago. I was very good at netball at school, captain, top of the team. And she just... her language, the way she communicated was just different. And I can't explain that, but I feel like I'm reliving that through my coaching practice. And one that stands out, we were in a big school final. It's a big tournament. It's over at Woking. We were very good as a school, and we were playing a game, and I just wasn't there. Just wasn't happening. And it was half time. She came off, and I stood at the side, and she looked at me, and in the nicest, and I can picture and I can hear her tone of voice. She said to me, "If you continue, you're not going to play anymore. You need to play how you should play." And I looked at her and I was so angry. But now, at the time, I was like, how dare she? I don't want to come off here. My God, that was the changing point. I got player of the match. I got player of the tournament. It was like she just hit something in me that just... and
like a trigger.
And I, from that moment on, I don't know whether that's when I became a coach in my head, and that was a young age. That was like 12, 13, and I think everybody has a trigger. Everybody can be successful. Everybody has different levels of success, but there's a trigger to make them or to push them to their full potential. And I think that is one thing that I'm probably actually identifying that now, but I think why I do what I do, because I want everybody to reach their full potential and feel good on that.
And hit that trigger as well.
And hit the trigger. And, you know, I'm there to help identify that. Don't get me wrong, some people you can't, but most people you can. And it's...
I think I've had a lot of experiences, probably more so recently, where you feel like you've hit that person's trigger, so they turn around to you and they'll say, that's it, this is a new me, I'm going to go from here. And then they drop back to the way they were. But I think there has to be an experience like what you've had. And I've had one before, especially in coaching. It was probably my biggest trigger point, where I got told when I was at college and I was learning the trade that you should just stick at this level that you're at, don't go any higher. And that was the big turning point for me. I was thinking to myself, someone's turned around to me, and I've spoken to that person since, and I said that it's the best thing that you've ever said to me, because it's given me that drive to go on. And I think sometimes people think that, and I think you can look at it in so many different ways, like your Monday diets. You know, everyone's like, right, I'm going to start a diet on a Monday. And then, you know, by hump day Wednesday, it's almost like you're back to where you were. And I think you need that real, you know, realisation or experience where you think, nah, something's got to change now.
I completely agree. Do you know what? One of my words, and I think we have our own philosophy of life, and one of mine, and to the extent that I've actually had it printed on me, acceptance. And why that word? Because I believe in life, to gain a pathway, to gain success, you have to accept. Now, there's things in life that we have to accept, and we have no alternative, so you have to accept it. And by accepting it, you can move on. If there's something in life that you're not happy with, you don't accept it. Now, you weren't happy with that comment. I wasn't happy with that comment I got from teachers, so I didn't accept it. So I changed it until I got to a point where I'm going, I can accept that now. And it's like, it changes life. And because I don't think you've ever reached your full potential. You may reach your limit in a sport, but that doesn't mean to say that you don't step aside and go into a different area. For example, I've had many players that have got to a point where they're like, I'm not enjoying it. I don't know if I want to go on. So they've stepped over into coaching and off they go. So it's like that, you know, it's just accepting that's where I'm at. But actually, I don't want to accept that I'm ending. I want to move on to something else.
It's actually made me come on to another point that I was going to speak about a bit later. But when you just said there that player that then went to a coach, I'm finding, especially with a lot of the younger coaches at the moment, that when they step into coaching, it completely transforms the game that they're playing. So we've got quite a few younger coaches that are still playing, still trying to achieve a high level of playing their sport, but they've stepped into coaching and they start picturing the game that they're playing so differently, so much different. Like, you know, their tactical knowledge, their social skills, like the realisation of the team instead of just them. I think everyone at certain points, like regardless if you've got no desire to be a coach, getting involved in that sort of environment really does change your mindset and ethos and philosophy towards actually playing.
It broadens and widens your understanding, and because a game is played in my eyes, anything is played in three different ways: from a player's point of view, from a coaching point of view, and from a umpire and referee's point of view. If you can gain all of those, and I'm lucky enough to have gained all of those in netball in particular, your understanding is just extraordinary, because you can look at it and understand how that player's feeling, because you've been that umpire that's called you doing that, so you understand. But as an umpire, you understand that reaction. It's just broadens it so much. Is it right for everybody? No. Some people can't pick a whistle up. Some people just don't grasp the element of coaching, and some people just go straight into coaching because they just can't play. You don't have to have all three, but if you're lucky enough to have all three, I think that's a pathway that's extraordinary.
Yeah, I think a great example that I've had recently is a player that's got very frustrated with playing and needs to work on their patience within the game. Like, patience for me is one of the most important sort of values and characteristics to try and work on as an individual outside of coaching, just in general life.
Yeah. And probably one of the hardest elements to learn.
But then when this player has then worked with a younger group and challenged his own patience, it's then reflected well within the game.
Absolutely, completely. And I think if a question is what is the hardest aspect, patience is, because you have to, and I would link in understanding with that, because if you understand why somebody can't do something, then your patience is going to increase. And I mean, to me, it's always been, and it's you never get to a point where you have patience. You're always developing.
Always challenged with it as well.
Always. And but I like that. I like being challenged.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think if you can be challenged, you're going to make yourself a better coach.
One of the reasons probably why people coach is probably the rewards you get from it. But what do you find the most rewarding about coaching? And is there any in particular moments or situations or experiences that you've had where you've come away from that and you've been so chuffed, happy? It's one of those things that's made your day, made your year, made your whole experience of coaching worthwhile.
That's a really hard question, because you will get some coaches that will sit here and you will get some coaches going, because I took the trophy home, because that team won. I'm really not about the winning, and it's like the winning to me is that bonus, and is a reward more for players than for coaching, because the moment we win a game, my mind's already going, but hang on a minute, I've got to go on to the next one and the next one. So it's what's my do you know what, that smile from a player, and I'm not saying and anybody that coaches will understand what I say by that smile, that look in a child and adult that just goes, I did that really well. And it's just, to me, and that's at any single level, that's a grassroots, to I'm in a school, and I'm giving you an example. Do we have to do this, miss? Yeah, you do, but I hate football. Okay, well, you know what? Just join in and have a go. 10 minutes later, I love it. And to me, I'm walking away going, done my job.
Job done.
They may never pick up a ball again, never kick a ball again, but for that moment, for 10 minutes, they love something. I probably am about to have one of my biggest rewards, and I don't want to contradict myself, because I want to. There's been a journey for this, and I've got a senior Hampshire team, and I put it together really confident with this team, really wanted to go bush, let's hit the big time, and I had a disaster. In literally the first match, in the first 5 minutes, one of my main players went down, ACL, did the lot, just destroyed the whole setup. And it's taken me about 4 or 5 years to losing players, moving on, to get to a point where I'm winning a division. And we've got our last game on Sunday, and I'm going to cry. I know I'm going to cry, because the girls that have been with me from day one have just worked so hard, and that then is when it's not a winning reward, it's a journey reward, and that to me is going to be a very special day.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's like you said there, like rewards can come from just a smile on someone's face, whereas certain people will look at a trophy cabinet, presents, money that they would receive from doing it, but just sometimes no words and just that little, and you'll probably see it on their faces on Sunday, like if they achieve what they're going to achieve, like that sense of, you know, process that they've been through. And I suppose I have loads of different ones. So I've had like one of our under 8 footballers join the very, very first junior academy that I ever started, come through all the way through the age groups into the college programme, left at the college programme, then started playing senior football. And because there wasn't that, you know, these won leagues, lost leagues, finished bottom, up and down, when you reflect back at the whole process, you're like, wow, what a journey you've been on. And I'm grateful that I've been a part of that as well.
Oh, gotcha. And that's really, do you know what journeys are? There's no time limit in a journey. A journey can be, you know, 6 weeks to 6 years to 10 years. It's just, and if you get the pleasure of being a small fragment of that journey for that player, it's just, you know, I've had people that I just named a teacher that wasn't with me for that long, but she had I had another coach that, you know, I'd burnt out a little bit, and she said, I want you to take 3 months. I said, well, I don't want you. She goes, you're going to take 3 months. Go away, have a little breather. After literally about it was about 4 weeks. Can I come back? She said, absolutely. She said, because you're ready to. And it's like, I remember that she was part of my journey. Yeah. And it's like, it's incredible.
So we were sort of working our way through this whole journey. Now, when it comes down to coaching and why we coach, I think all coaches have setbacks, situations that might happen which make you self-reflect, whether it's the right industry for you, the right profession for you. Are you questioning what you're doing? Have you had any of those setbacks or experiences, and sort of how have you faced them and overcome them?
Yeah. Oh yeah, lots.
Yeah,
lots. But that's part of growing. I have many times where you were talking about your under 8 that's been with you. I've had players that have started with me, and you know, I've been with them for 3, 4, 5, 6 years sometimes. So I've grown them, I've worked with them, and then they go for various reasons.
Yeah.
I've got an under 19 team at the moment that have been with me for so many years. Particular ones that have just, you know, they're like my babies that I've grown into netball adults. And they're going to university, which obviously understandable, but of course I don't want them to go, and that's that hits you, because it's like, oh gosh, I feel like all that hard work, but then you have to sit back and think, but they're going on, and I keep saying to them, I just don't want any of them to stop playing. You go and find your pathway. A setback, when you lose a player, because they're just, one in particular I had, you know, when you look at a player and they've got it.
Yeah.
And again, if you're a coach, you'll know it. You just look at one and go, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
And then you work with them and you can see it simmering, and they turn around, and this is based on experience, because young lady turned around and said, I just don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, but why? She goes, well, I just don't want to. And it's a time of self-reflection. What did I do something wrong? Am I not good enough? Am I not, you know? But you just have to accept, and that's bring me back to my word.
Yeah.
Accept, move on.
Because I think you'll find some coaches will try and hold on to the player as much as you want, and then you've got a player that's sort of
and you can't.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And you can't. You know, a good coach is somebody that wants a player to enjoy, to be happy, and to develop. And if you're going to hold back, and they don't think.
Right, so working a little bit further along that journey, obviously sport is competitive, coaching I think is competitive. I'm a believer in sharing is caring. I think right now with the amount of resources that are online, you know, I'm picking up sessions that I'm seeing other people doing. I try and create as much content as I can to share with other people so they can use it. Because you know, at the end of the day, I think we're all in this industry to try and achieve everyone's best, and I think sharing is the best way forward, which is hence one of the reasons why we're doing this sort of podcast, because I want to get experiences from other coaches. But competition within coaching, what experiences have you had with that which is maybe helped you with your journey? Other coaches that you've seen do great things, what would you say would be poor things? What experiences have you had with coaches?
I was probably when I started on my netball coaching journey, I was quite an individual coach. I found it easier just to do it myself, and I set up clubs, I set up groups, I set up there. And because I set it up, I found it easier just to do it all. Everybody just fed into that and was like, what do you want us to do? Yep, okay, we'll do that. My turning experience, surprisingly enough, was when I completed my level 3. On reflection at that time when I did it, and I've been a level 3 for, about 15, 20 years, something like that. When I applied, I thought, yep, that's it, that's where I want to go. I remember sitting there and I was out of my depth. I thought, I haven't done half of the you know, I haven't got half the experience that these guys. I persevered and I got there. But actually that opened my eyes up to another style of coaching. And one of that was how essential other people's coaching could be to you. Now, I've linked up with a lot of different coaches. I've worked with a lot of different coaches, both good and bad, don't get me wrong, because I don't like the word bad, possibly not my style of coaching. I mean, on reflection, not to contradict, I have seen some awful coaching that I sit there and go, you can't speak to children like that, you can't speak to adults like that, you can't, you know, demand that when there's not the capabilities. So it's I believe in sharing, and I think that's probably when you sort of talked to me about this company and about how do you feel about this. A little bit of me thought, okay, yep, I'll just do the netball, you do the football. Then all of a sudden we're growing this community, this very tight community of coaches that is, and we're learning more than I think they are, in the sense of we're sharing our experience with them. They come and shadow us and watch us how we go. But then, 5, 6, 10 years later, we go back and we go, they've grown into their own coaches. So they're, we're learning off of them. They would never have been there if they hadn't have done this journey with us. And that's what made me, the turning point for me was my level 3, which then slowly worked into what we're doing now. And I enjoy coaching coaches probably more than I enjoy coaching sometimes. Because I know that one day I'm going to have to hang up the trainers and go, I'm done. But I now know if I do that, I've got other coaches that I've just passed some information on to.
Which actually leads me on to the next part. There's two things. The first thing is how are you continuing to grow as a coach right now?
Just answer it by I don't think you're ever done. I think just when I feel comfortable and I think, wow, my senior team, I've got there, we're going to be promoted, I now have got to go, I've got to reassess how I'm going to coach them. What do I need to bring to their game. How am I going to do that? By, I mean, online wasn't back when I started coaching at all. I mean, you literally got your books out, you had to send away, get a book, read it.
And you're quite active and busy on, like, with a lot of CPD, like you constantly doing stuff all the time. I mean, I think early stages, I thought because we have like badge collectors, don't we? You have people that go out there and want to be level 1, level 2, level 3, this and this, and all of a sudden their CV's long, but the experiences might have been fast tracked. But I've got a real sort of want at the moment to try and learn more quickly, like you said, online is so easy to enroll yourself on even if it's a very small snippet, like a niche sort of course about something, whether it's managing behaviour or whether it's like something tactical for football, like the industry that I'm working in. So it's I think there's always a room to grow, isn't there?
But I think that's the power of media, because I don't even think I get quite a lot of inspiration from, and I'm not talking netball drills. I go online and I look at sport drills. I've just been looking at volleyball. I've linked up with this group, and some of the exercises, I'm like, this is great. This is going to work. I like that. So I adapt it to netball, and I don't even think it has to have a title. You don't have to come away with a certificate, say I've attended this course, I've looked at this course. It's just looking, watching, and having the willingness to learn, and the want and the desire to go, I want to learn more. And I've that's another one of my philosophies in life. You never stop learning. Never ever ever. Every stage you come to, there's room to learn and room to be better.
And then sort of taking on that next step is, I think we're both coaches, but now I would say we're coach educators, and obviously we've experienced quite a few coaches in the company that we're running at the moment. But what advice would you give to somebody considering getting into coaching? Because the reason why I ask you that is I think obviously we run a college program. And at the end of it, when people aren't quite sure where they want to go, it's like, oh, I'll do coaching. And it's like, do you want to do coaching? Is it, I always feel like, is there a passion? Is there a purpose? Like, to you wanting to do it? But what advice would you give to somebody considering it?
I would say it's a passion, but not in the sport that you have a passion in. I play football, so I'm going to coach. Doesn't mean it's not the same. I think if you've got a passion in wanting to help, in wanting to develop, in wanting to support someone's growth, and I'm not talking about in a sport, and I think it was interesting what you just said. We are coach educators, but I see us as educators in lots of different ways. When we go into schools, we teach PE, and we're not teaching a sport. In my eyes, we're teaching how to gain confidence, but in a different setting. How to grow as an individual, how to be confident, how to be competitive, how to be how to have that desire for something. And how to be a better person. If you have a passion in that, you will find your coaching niche. It's not about the sport, it's about the person. And that's the advice that I would give to somebody. It's not about, I love football, I want to teach football. Because it's hard. It's hard when you.
It's a difficult industry. I think sometimes people look at it and think that it's something easy and enjoyable to do, but it's teaching, coaching, the responsibility that you have for those, and what you could do in the most positive way. If it's not too positive, could be so detrimental to their growth as a person. It's I think sometimes I think the physical side of coaching is actually
easier than the mental side of coaching. You know, to deal with that player that gets taken off, to deal with that player that's injured, to deal with that player that is, you know, is not as good as the group they're in, that, you know, maybe has reached their potential. To explain that to someone it can be life-changing to them. And so you have to take on every single aspect of supporting that growth, and it's really hard, really hard.
Right. Well, the question was why, and I think we've covered quite a bit of it there to see like why we coach, why you'd want to get into coaching, and you know that's just one journey. So thank you for coming in to have a chat with us. Hopefully this conversation is obviously going to help quite a few others to sort of understand somebody's background, understand why they get into it. And I really think it's important to have the first question you should always do whenever you get into anything is why am I doing this? Why am I going to get into it? Why do I do what I'm doing? And I think once you can build off those foundations, it will be
I think that was the changing point in our direction as a company, when we just took it, you know, stripped it apart. And it was like, why are we doing what we're doing? And I think that is something you can take into everyday life. It is very much it's such a very small word, but if you put it into your head, you reap happiness.
100%.
But
Right, okay, and what we're going to do to finish is a little game idea that I'm going to do with every person that's on here. So it's a little mind game. Okay, so you got 3 lives. You've got these little, I don't know what they're going to called, but little things with colours in the bottom, right? So I'm just going to...
You didn't tell me this was going to happen.
Yeah, so you get 3 lives. And let's just say if anyone clears all of these, it's £500 they're going to win. But you get 3 lives. So what happens is you pick one up, and then you pick another one up, and if it's the same... they're eliminated. You can put them on the table. If they're different, you can put them back. That's 1 life gone though.
And how many lives do I get?
You get 3.
I'm really rubbish at things like this.
It's memory. Let's go. First one out.
I'm putting my sophisticated glasses on.
Right, you got a yellow. And a green. Right, you got to put them back. You got 2 life left.
I've got 2 lives.
And I want to see who can get the longest streak. 1. Okay, so you still got 2 lives.
Okay.
Maybe I've said too much money on the first. Oh, no,
what was it? No, it will go...
Should I have said 100? Okay, 1 life. You got 1 life left.
How many colours are there?
I'm not sure.
All.
Right, you got 3 at the moment. So you're at the top of the leaderboard.
Well, I want a leaderboard up there.
Yeah, there will be.
Okay.
1 life left.
Okay.
Oh, that's 4.
How many colours are there? This is like...
I think there's red, there's green...
I know, but I've only got 1, so this is going to be very hard. Actually, you...
This could be your last life.
This could be my last... I think it is. Oh, and that one was there.
So you're on the leaderboard with 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. That's a good start. Was 500 too much? Maybe 100.
No, well, 500 because I was the first person.
No, you've got to clear it.
It goes, yeah, but it goes down.
Oh, okay.
Because I was your first visitor, that's 500. It's now £50.
So that concludes that. Thanks everyone for watching, listening. Likes, subscribe and share, like we always say. Thank you, Kate, for coming in.
My pleasure.
And yeah, who's going to be the lucky person to come into Coach's Corner next time?